and basically act more mature because she'd hit this magical age milestone. And I was frustrated, wondering why she suddenly seemed more difficult. Then a developmental psychologist explained the one big mistake almost every parent makes at age 3. And everything clicked into place. Once I understood what was really happening in her brain, I completely changed my approach. And we got back to that connected, peaceful relationship. What I'm sharing today could save you months of unnecessary struggle. If you have a 3-year-old or you're about to, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because understanding this mistake will transform how you parent through this challenging age and set your child up for genuine success. Here's the big mistake that I made and that I see constantly with other parents. When kids turn 3, we suddenly raise our expectations way too high and pull back support way too fast. Think about it. We celebrate the 3rd birthday as if it's a huge developmental leap. They're not a baby anymore, they're a big kid now. So we start expecting them to share nicely, use their words instead of hitting, follow multi-step directions, sit still for longer periods, control their impulses, and manage their big emotions. And when they can't do these things consistently, we get frustrated and think something's wrong or that we're failing as parents. But here's what's actually happening in your 3-year-old's brain. And this is the part that changed everything for me. Yes, 3-year-olds have made incredible developmental progress from infancy. Their language has exploded, they can do so much physically, and they understand cause and effect. But their prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain responsible for impulse control, emotional regulation, planning, and following complex directions, that part is still incredibly immature. It won't be fully developed until they're in their mid-20s. At age 3, reworking with a brain that has big feelings and big ideas but very limited ability to control those feelings or think through consequences. So when your 3-year-old melts down over the wrong color cup, when they hit their sibling even though you've told them 100 times not to, when they can't sit still during a meal, when they refuse to share their toys, they're not being defiant or manipulative. Their brain literally doesn't have the capacity yet to do what we're expecting. The mistake isn't that our kids are difficult. The mistake is that we're expecting 3-year-old behavior from a brain that sits still very much in development. I'll give you a perfect example from my own life. My daughter turned 3 and I started expecting her to get herself dressed in the morning. Seemed reasonable, right? She knew how to put on clothes. But every single morning became a battle. She'd get distracted, refuse to cooperate, and have a meltdown about which shirt to wear. I was so frustrated because I thought she was being difficult on purpose. But once I understood her brain development, I realized she didn't have the executive function skills yet to complete. She could physically put clothes on, but she couldn't plan the sequence, stay focused, make decisions, and follow through independently. That required brain development she didn't have yet. When I went back to supporting her through the process, staying nearby, offering choices between 2 options instead of overwhelming her with decisions, breaking it into smaller steps, everything got easier. She wasn't being difficult. She just needed more scaffolding than I was giving her because I decided she was a big kid now. The second part of this mistake is that we stop responding to emotional needs with the same warmth and patience we did when they were younger. When a 2-year-old has a tantrum, we expect it. We stay calm, we offer comfort. But when a 3-year-old has a meltdown, we start seeing it as bad behavior that needs to be corrected. We say things like, "You're 3 now, you're too old for this, use your words, big kids don't act like this." But developmentally, 3-year-olds still need the same co-regulation support that younger toddlers need. Their emotional regulation skills are barely more developed than they were at 2.5. Comment below and tell me, did you raise your expectations when your child turned 3? What's been your biggest struggle with this age? Here's what the research actually shows about 3-year-olds. This is the age when children are developing a theory of mind, which means they're starting to understand that other people have different thoughts and feelings than they do. This is huge for social development, but it's also incredibly overwhelming for their little brains. They're processing complex social dynamics for the first time. They're noticing differences between themselves and others. They're experiencing jealousy, embarrassment, pride, shame, all these sophisticated emotions for the very first time. And they have no idea how to manage any of it. On top of that, pre is when kids really start testing boundaries and asserting independence because they're redeveloping a sense of self. They want to do things their way, make their own choices, and have control. But they also still desperately need the safety and security of parental guidance and limits. This creates internal conflict. They want independence, but they're scared of it. They want control, but they need boundaries. This is why 3-year-olds can be so contradictory and challenging. So, what should we be doing instead of raising expectations and pulling back support? First, adjust your expectations to match actual brain development, not chronological age. Your 3-year-old should not be expected to consistently share, wait patiently, control impulses, follow multi-step directions independently, manage big emotions alone, or sit still for long periods. Those skills are still developing and may need your support, modeling, and patience. Second, continue offering the same emotional co-regulation you did when they were younger. When your 3-year-old has a meltdown, get down on their level, stay calm, and validate the feeling. Even if you can't give them what they want. You're so upset that we have to leave the park. It's hard to stop playing when you're having fun. I'm here with you while you feel these big feelings. You're not reinforcing bad behavior by offering comfort. You're teaching their brain how to regulate by lending them your calm nervous system. Third, provide tons of scaffolding for tasks and expectations. Instead of expecting them to do things independently just because they turn 3, break tasks into smaller steps. Stay nearby to support, offer limited choices instead of overwhelming options. And give lots of encouragement and patience. Over time, as their brain develops, you gradually pull back support. But at 3, they still need a lot of help. Fourth, focus on connection over correction. 3-year-olds who feel connected and secure are much more cooperative than 3-year-olds who feel pressured and criticized. When you prioritize maintaining that warm, responsive relationship even during challenging behaviors, your child's nervous system stays more regulated, and they're able to access their developing skills more easily. I also want to address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but if I don't expect more from my 3-year-old, won't they become spoiled or poorly behaved? And the answer is absolutely not. Having developmentally appropriate expectations doesn't mean no boundaries or no guidance. It means you're realistic about what their brain can actually do, and you teach and support accordingly. You still have rules and limits. You still teach better choices. You just do it with patience and understanding instead of frustration and punishment for things they are not developmentally capable of yet. Here's what happened when I made this shift with my daughter. I stopped seeing her as a big kid who should know better and started seeing her as a 3-year-old with a developing brain who needed my support. I lowered my expectations to match her actual capacity. I went back to offering comfort during meltdowns instead of frustration. I provided more support for daily tasks instead of expecting independence. And everything got so much better. She wasn't having fewer developmental challenges, but I was responding to them in a way that actually helped instead of making things worse. Our relationship improved. Her confidence grew because she wasn't constantly failing to meet unrealistic expectations. And I enjoyed parenting again because I wasn't fighting against her development. The 3-year-old stage is such a critical time for brain development, language acquisition, social skills, and sense of self. When we support our kids through this stage with realistic expectations and responsive parenting, we're setting them up for genuine confidence and capability. But when we expect too much too soon and withdraw support prematurely, we create unnecessary struggle, damage the relationship, and actually slow down the development we're trying to rush. I want you to really think about this. What changed in your parenting when your child turned 3? Did you start expecting them to act older, be more independent, and control themselves better? And how's that actually working? If you're struggling more now than you were at 2.5, this expectation gap might be the reason. The good news is it's completely fixable. You just need to recalibrate your expectations to match where your child actually is developmentally, not where you think they should be based on age. If this completely shifted your perspective on parenting your 3-year-old, please share this video with another parent who might be struggling with this exact issue. So many of us are making this same mistake without realizing it, and understanding changes everything. Drop a comment and tell me what surprised you most about 3-year-old brain development, or share what's been hardest about this age for you. And make sure you resubscribed because we're rebuilding a community of parents who understand child development and parenting in ways that actually work with their child's brain, not against it. Thank you for being here and for being willing to adjust your approach based on what your child actually needs instead of what society tells us they should be doing. Your 3-year-old is so lucky to have a parent who gets this. These years go fast, and one day you'll look back and be so glad you met them where they were instead of pushing them to be somewhere they weren't ready for.